So what if a high school history project spiraled into a full-blown dictatorship in just 5 days? That's the chilling and kinda true story behind the 2008 German film The Wave. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how it all went down and what it warns us about today.
It all kicks off with this one simple but really provocative question. A teacher, Rainer Wenger, just throws this out to his class during a project week about autocracy. And you can just feel their reaction, right? This modern certainty that no way, history could never repeat itself. Not here, not now.
And there it is. That's the answer that pretty much seals the deal. This super confident, almost smug belief that they're just too enlightened, too smart to fall for that old school manipulation. That one line just hangs over the entire story, setting up the tragedy we all know is coming.
So how do you challenge that kind of thinking? Well, the teacher decides, you know what, let's not just talk about it, let's do it. He turns the lesson into a live experiment. The whole idea is simple, but man is it powerful. Mr. Wenger wants to get away from the boring old textbooks. He's going to show his students firsthand that autocracy isn't just some dusty historical concept, it's a set of very real psychological buttons that can be pushed, even today.
And you know what's crazy? It doesn't take much at all. What starts as this harmless little exercise quickly morphs into this powerful, all-consuming group identity, built on just a few simple rules.
It starts small. First, it's about discipline. They have to call him Mr. Wenger, which immediately sets up a clear leader. Then, it's a uniform, a simple white shirt, which erases all the little differences and creates this instant visual unity. And finally, a common goal. See? Each step seems harmless, but together, they start to dissolve individuality and build something new, something powerful.
So the next phase? It's all about branding. The movement gets a name, The Wave. It gets a logo that suddenly starts popping up all over the city. And it gets its own special salute to show you're a member. These symbols are so important because they make an idea feel real. It's something you can see, you can share, and you can belong to.
But here's the thing about that amazing feeling of unity. It has a really dark side. Because the second you create an us, you automatically create a them.
And this creates a really dangerous split. For insiders, like this kid Tim, who always felt kind of invisible, the wave is incredible. It gives him purpose. He finally belongs somewhere. But for anyone who resists, like Caro and Mona, it means they're immediately on the outside. And they're not just outsiders. They're seen as a threat to the group.
And this is the moment when the alarm bells just start screaming. Caro confronts Mr. Wenger, and she says what's becoming terrifyingly obvious. This isn't an experiment anymore. It's real. It has a life of its own, and the teacher is completely losing control of what he started. From here, the whole thing just spirals. Loyalty to the wave becomes everything. The peer pressure is off the charts, and if you dare to criticize it or even question it, you're treated like a traitor. That classroom has literally become a mini dictatorship.
This rapid escalation, this fanatical devotion, is all hurtling towards a shocking and violent end, revealing the true, devastating price of this little week-long lesson. So Wenger realizes he's created a monster, and he calls one last meeting to try and shut the wave down. But for the most devoted members, especially Tim, this movement has become their whole world. It's not just a school project to him, it's his entire identity, and the idea of losing it is just unthinkable. And the ending is just swift and brutal. Tim, in his desperation to hold on to the one thing that ever made him feel important, pulls out a gun. He shoots another student who tries to stop him, and then, unable to face life without the wave, he turns the gun on himself. The experiment is officially over. The last thing we see is the teacher, the man who started it all, being led away by the police as his lesson becomes a horrifying reality.
So, after all that, what are we supposed to take away from this? Well, The Wave isn't just a movie. It's a really powerful and timeless warning about the dark parts of human psychology that are always just waiting under the surface.
I mean, the film just rips the cover off these major fault lines in any society. It shows you how groupthink can make smart people completely abandon their own judgment. It shows how that deep, human need to belong can be twisted and used as a weapon. And maybe most importantly, it's a huge reminder that democracy isn't something that's guaranteed. It's fragile, and you have to constantly protect it from these very human pressures. And the way the film is actually shot makes its message hit so much harder. The director uses this really intense, immersive style that doesn't just let you watch what's happening, it pulls you right into the chaos.
It's done with all these clever techniques. You've got shaky, handheld cameras that make you feel like you're right there in the room with them. There's this driving rock soundtrack that just builds and builds with the students' energy. The camera angles are always shifting to show you who has the power in the moment, and the editing is super fast and choppy, pulling you along for the ride whether you want to go or not.
So really, The Wave is the perfect definition of a cautionary tale. It's a stark, visceral reminder that the things that allow dictatorships to rise aren't just ancient history. They're a part of us, just waiting for the right conditions to wake up. And that leaves us with the film's one huge, unnerving question. After seeing how fast these modern, enlightened kids went full-on fascist, we really have to ask ourselves, are we actually any different? Could it happen again? The film doesn't give you any easy answers. It just leaves you to sit with that really unsettling thought.